Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a level 20 Paladin Warlock multi-class build guide in Baldur's Gate 3. Now if you want to call this the Warden, the Padlock, or the Lockadin, all three of those names work great for this. I'll be showing you the most powerful way to make this a very strong combination, and we're going to start off here as the Paladin. So the Oath being the Oath of Vengeance. I think this one works the best with this class, so we'll start off as this. The reason we're starting Paladin is so that we can get heavy armor proficiency, as if we start with the Warlock and multi-class into this, we don't actually get heavy armor proficiency. And with this, we get the Inquisitor's Might, which can daze, which will allow us to set up hold person. So for our ability scores, 16 charisma, and we can go 16 strength, and then the rest of our points are going to go into our constitution, so something like this can work. However, there's two different ways we can actually go about doing this. Strength is going to be the first way, but we can actually build around our charisma and then dump it, or use strength potions and then build around our dexterity for higher initiative and armor class if we don't want to wear heavy armor. So something like this or this will work as well. So there's two different ways, strength or dexterity, depending on how you want to build it. This is entirely up to you. And then for our next level, we'll actually switch into the Warlock. So you can continue with the Paladin, obviously, but we're going to switch to the Warlock here because we get some pretty strong cantrips with the Eldritch Blast. And for our second one, you can go with, if you have Mistress spells, you got a lot of other options like Lightning Lure. Bone Chill is probably the best choice if you don't have Mistress spells, but we're going to go with Lightning Lure. And for the subclass, we're going to go with the Fiend. Now, if you have the Dread Overlord, it just makes sense. The Dread Overlord's really strong, but we'll stick with the Fiend because this gives us a lot of options. Also, the Hexblade is really nice too. But for our channel spells, I like Command. We can also use our normal spells slots to use Command as well. But we can also just take from the Warlock spells because the Paladin doesn't actually get as many spell choices. So we're going to keep that for the Paladin. Any overlap we'll leave with the Paladin. Hellish Rebuke is nice too to be able to deal a little bit of fire damage. So we can take both Burning Hands and Hellish Rebuke. Frost Fingers is also a really nice one too if you don't want to take the Burning Hands. It does deal a little bit less damage, but it can create ice surfaces. So if you have Mistress spells, that's a choice. But otherwise, we'd go with the Burning Hands. And at level 2 here, we get to choose some Eldritch Invocations, which if you got the Hexblade, you get some extra ones. But we're going to keep it to the base game. So the Agonizing Blast, adding our Charisma modifier to the damage, as well as Repelling Blast, giving us that big pushback. And for our next leveled spells, something like Hex can be pretty nice, so we'll go with that there, as Hex does require concentration, but it can give us some early game damage. At level 3, we get to choose our Pact Boon. We're obviously going back to the Blade. This is how we can get the strongest abilities here. This will give us the 3 attacks outside of Honor mode, which is really nice. And for our spells, we get some further higher level spells. Hold Person typically would be my choice, but we can get this from the Paladin. So we're going to take Scorch and Ray here. And we also can get Misty Step from the Paladin too. So that's one that we'll leave for the Paladin. At level 4, we get ourselves another cantrip here. So Booming Blade or Green Flame Blade being two really nice ones that can add a little bit extra damage to your attacks. And on top of this, we get to choose another spell. Shatter, Armor of Agathis are two other great choices. Mirror Image will give us a +9 to our armor class, which can be great. Some people really like Burning or Cloud of Daggers. I think Darkness works the best here, and once we get to our next level, we can actually make this even stronger because we can see in Magical Darkness. And we'll take our Charisma up to 18. However, if you don't take the Devil's Sight, which is what we're going to take with this Eldritch Invocation, the Devil's Sight, you can use the Shar Spear of the Evening if you go with an Evil Shadow Heart, and that'll give you the Blind Vision. Now we get to choose some other spells, and Hunger of Hadar is just the best choice here. We can also go with a Fireball if you want, but Hunger of Hadar just is a lot of fun. And it's the Eldritch spell of choice. Now once we get to ourselves level 6 Warlock here, we get to chase another one, and Fireball is my personal choice, but you can also go with Counterspell if you'd like. And even going back to the previous levels, there's some other spells there, but Fireball is nice. The reason I'm not taking Counterspell, we have very limited spells, so we want to make sure that we're using them on ones that are effective, because we only have 2 Warlock spell slots at level 3. Now we got ourselves some other choices like Banishment, Blight, Dimension Door, Fire Shield here. But if you got the Mistress spell mod, you can even take something like the Shadow of Moil, which will give yourself heavily obscure and resist radiant damage, and you can target and deal necrotic damage. Even Raltham Psychic Lance works really well. This is part of Mistress spells, so highly recommend that. And for our Eldritch Invocation, there's a few great ones here that we can choose, like Dreadful Word giving Confusion as a bonus. Confusion as a spell can be awesome. Even taking the previous choice, like Eldritch Smite is one of my favorites. If you got the if you have the Hexblade, it gives you a bunch of different ones here. So even Eldritch Spear, which will double the range of Eldritch Blast, can be good. Take whichever one you want here, but I'm gonna go with the Eldritch Smite because this can deal additional force damage on our attacks, making it like a force-based smite, and that's really strong. And then we get to choose ourselves another spell here. I really like Sonic Blast too if you have Mistress spells, so we're going to go with that there. And for our feat, we'll take our charisma all up to 20 because this is for our main attack rolls. And then once we get to level 9 here, we get to choose another Eldritch Invocation, and we get some fun spells like Flame Strike and Cone of Cold. I think Cone of Cold is our best choice here, one of the best spells for damage in the game. And then we also get the Eldritch Invocation Minions of Chaos, which gives us a free Conjure Elemental, and that's really effective. I'll show you guys why. And at level 10, we get ourselves the Fiendish Resilience, so we can choose a new type of damage and become resistant to it. We get ourselves another cantrip, so we'll take Green Flame Blade. And for our next leveled spell, Hold Monster, since we don't get this from the Paladin, Hold Monster is extremely useful. And once we get ourselves to level 11, we get ourselves the Mystic Arcanum. And I really like Circle of Death, but Psychic Crush is good too if you have Mistress spells. I want to take the Circle of Death, free cast, a level 6 spell. And then we get another level 5 spell here, so Flame Strike can be okay. It's not the best choice here. We can actually go back to a previous level. Even Grasp of the Dead is nice because this is if you got a lot of blood surfaces, you can grab targets with this, which is really nice. Wall of Fire is also a pretty good spell that I know a lot of people really enjoy. So it's either Flame Strike or Wall of Fire. I'll take the Flame Strike there. And then for our final level of Warlock, we can choose this here because we get the Eldritch Invocation Life Drinker, but we're going to switch back because some people do have issues if they go past level 12 on the Warlock. We'll take it final. And we get ourselves a fighting style with the Paladin at level 2. So we're going to take defense here. And for our prepared spells, I think it's a good idea to go with all the smites that you can. Divine Favor, Heroism, and I guess Command too. So these are going to be solid. We have more spell selection because we have a high charisma here. And then we get ourselves the Vow of Enmity, which you can apply to yourself to get advantage on attack rolls. And then also we got our Hunter's Mark and Bane, so that's really nice there. As we level up, we actually start to get some really nice spells. Level 4 here, we get to choose another feat, and I think the +5 initiative is huge. You can also go with the Great Weapon Master if you want to use a two-handed weapon to give yourself +10 to your damage, or Savage Attacker to just give you flat out more damage. Level 5, we get ourselves that extra attack. Now it stacks and gives us the dual attacks, and we get ourselves Misty Step and Hold Person, two of the best spells that we get from the Vengeance Paladin. And then we can also add in Blinding Smite, Force Weapon if you want to. We got a lot of concentrations though. Level 6 gives us the Aura of Protection, giving a +0 to saving throws, which is really nice because it says +0, but it'll be +5. It's our intelligence or our charisma modifier. At level 7, we get the Relentless Avenger. When we hit with an opportunity attack, our movement speed increases by 4.5 meters on our next turn. So we'd like to get something like Sentinel on this as well for our level 8 feat. So with this, we'll take the Sentinel perk because with Sentinel, we can give ourselves the a reaction to make an attack against enemy. So whenever we do this, then we can get extra movement speed on our next attack. This is really nice, and it's a good protector because the Paladin does that really well. Now we can go to level 9. We get ourselves haste here and protection from energy, but we're going to go back to the Warlock here and take ourselves another spell. So we do have some that are overlapping. Macabre Explosion's nice. Infernal Calling will also be a really nice spell. We can use that to summon in a devil, which is pretty nice. And also Synaptic Static can be pretty effective too because it does psychic damage and it hits really hard. So whichever one of these that you prefer. And for our Eldritch Invocation, we're going to add our Life Drinker, which will deal additional damage to our equal to our charisma modifier. And for our final feat, Savage Attacker just makes sense to be able to roll damage dice twice and use the higher of the two. Now, what this ends up looking like in terms of combat and gear, so I'll show off the gear here first. You can see we got lots of options for spells, which is nice. Always pop your Aura of Protection, which will give you that +5 to saving throws. And then with this, we're going to use Heavy Armor because that's really what this is all about, getting that extra protection. And you can, if you want to, use the Helldusk Armor, although it's probably better to use this on someone that doesn't have armor proficiency, like Gale. Armor Persistence being the best armor slot if you don't have that. And even Armor of Agility will give us a decent armor class. However, we're going to go with the Armor of Persistence just because that's so strong. Actually, the Helldusk Armor makes sense here with this build, so I'll just put that on for the 1+ armor class. And with this, we're also using the Helldusk Gloves because they give us increased spell save DC and spell attack rolls, and also additional fire damage on our attacks. Evasive Shoes, Cloak of Protection, and the Ring of Protection, although any of those three can be swapped out. Killer Sweetheart for free crit, Amulet Greater Health for better health, and Mastical Perception, and also we're using the Baldur Giant Slayer, so that's a really fun weapon. You don't need to use this, you can use whatever weapon you want. You can even use a shield. If you go, let's say, to like This, we can add our armor class up to 28, which is really nice. I'm just going to use the Baldur and Giant Slayer just because of how strong it is. And always bind your packed weapon because this will give you those extra attacks that we really want. Divine Smite being one of our best sources of damage, but we also got ourselves a few other options. And I guess I should show off, we'll swap out our staff here. So what we can do is actually get a free cast of one of our spells by using like the Staff of Spell Power, using its free cast, and then summoning in our, I would like to use like a Water Myrmidon here, Water Elemental, because this can give vulnerability to cold damage. And with the vulnerability to cold damage, we can use Cone of Cold and slap it down real hard. And in addition to this, we can also, I guess, use some of our other spells here too. If you wanted to use another, if let's say you have aid from the Paladin, you can actually use the, use your spell to be able to upcast aid. But this is what it's going to look like in terms of combat. So we just hasted ourselves so that we can get into battle form. And we'll just go ahead and fight some guards here just to show off how powerful this can be. And we just got them all lined up perfectly here. So we can go with a Synaptic Static, which is really strong. This may actually take out quite a few of them, so we'll blast them with that. And this is a great way to start combat off. So let's get things started here. So most of them are pretty low health, and we actually took out one of them there. This did use one of our level 5 spell slots here, but we have 3 of them because you get an extra one at high levels of Warlock. And for our next spell, Hunger of Hadar can be a really nice one. We do have our concentration on Synaptic Static, so this can you can detonate the psionic energy with this, so that can be nice. But we also got ourselves the Eldritch Smites there too, so we can go in and attack, or we can also use a Cone of Cold because Cone of Cold hits really hard. Typically, you'd want to set up like water if you have a cleric that can create water. That can be really effective. But what's nice about Cone of Cold is it's going to hit in a huge area of effect. So we can use that just to be able to wipe out pretty much everyone else that's around here. So we'll just drop this down, and we got counterspelled. Surprise, surprise, that took them out. So that sucked, and it used up our action, which is not ideal. Unfortunately, as a paladin, you don't have things that the sorcerer can use to give yourself an extra spell. So what we can do is just basically apply Vow of Enmity to ourselves, which will give us advantage on our attack rolls, and then move into a more ideal position away from our summon so that we don't get volleyed. Now I'll just let the enemy move here. We took out a good number of them. We didn't get to create ice surfaces, which would have been nice, but yeah, I'll just skip past the combat here so that you guys can see what this class does. So we're gonna go in with our Water Elemental here and just slam down. This can set up Chilled, which will give us an ability to deal a little extra damage with our cold spells. So that's the nice thing with the Water Elemental, is applying Chill with its base attack will allow you to hit even harder with your other spells. So if we were to run past them, we get an opportunity attack, but we can actually just use our Misty Step to set up into a prime position if we want to hit multiple enemies. So we can teleport our way over here and then go ahead with something like our Cone of Cold, which will likely wipe out a good number of them. And unfortunately it does hit our Water Elemental because he was in the way, but didn't have any option to move him. And then we can go with something fun like Circle of Death here if we want to really blast. This will definitely take out our Elemental, but you can see it actually hits quite a few enemies, so it's not a bad option for a spell to use. So we're gonna go with that because that's our level 6 free cast spell. And you can see it took out a good number of them, and our Water Elemental luckily saved. He's now free, and there's an ice surface on the ground too, so that's even better. We haven't gotten in and used our melee attacks yet, but we do have some level 1 and level 2 spell slots for smites, so that's pretty nice. And we only have 3 enemies left, so you can see some of these spells are very strong. So that's the nice thing about having a warlock, is you have 3 powerful spells you can use per short rest. I don't love the warlock, I'd rather play a sorcerer, but you can still see why it's so strong. And I'll show you guys what we want to be doing with combat. So I guess we'll get in with our Water Elemental. We can use Winter's Breath or multi-attack here, and hopefully that'll take them out. Yeah, it did. Perfect. And we actually can't attack them because the Mother Brain will delete us here, so we'll just move that over there. And I guess I'll just spell cast and stuff, but hopefully they run over to us. Crusader's Mantle. The only downside is, yeah, if I run close to the Mother Brain, will disable my character, so we have to use ourselves something like Eldritch Blast, which Eldritch Blast is really good here because we have 4 beams of it at level 20. So we got a good pushback from that, and we dealt psychic damage with it. And then finally we can blast away with our final Eldritch Blast, That is really nice. We also got cantrips like Green Flame Blade if they're in close. But you can see there, it's pretty strong. Now, typically you want to go in and use your Divine Smite. That's going to be your most powerful option for attacking. So, yeah, the Divine Smite will do a little additional damage. I knew that more guards would come here, so that's perfect. We can get into fighting form here. Unfortunately, we do lose one of our actions, so that's going to kind of make us a little weaker, but we'll go in and we'll use Eldritch Smite on this crossbow attacker here and get our crit off. Nice, that hit hard. It applied Psychic to the one surrounding it. We'll use another Eldritch or Divine Smite and bonk, take them out, and then wow, that disintegrated them. And we'll follow it up with another one, level 1 this time. Hopefully this will be enough, and it was perfect. So yeah, that's what you want to do. You just want to continually jump in, smash, smash, smash. And then we got ourselves Green Flame Blade, which we can also attack with, which looks awesome. And that took them out as well. Jeez, we're pretty strong. So yeah, that is the Paladin Warlock level 20 multi-class build guide. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave in the comments below. If you found this video useful, please hit the subscribe button below. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have an incredible day, and I'll see you all in the next video.